Please be seated. Well, today's reading places us again and again on a mountaintop. A place for clarity and a place where, like today, some friends bring that clarity along with them. Thank you, Becky, for helping me right there. So today we hear Moses goes up into the cloud. The disciples climb a high mountain with Jesus. And Peter later says to the church, "We were not following clever stories. We saw his majesty." What God gives us today is not the resurrection itself, but it is a foretaste of it. Before the cross, before the suffering, before the tomb, we are given light before this long walk of Lent. Mountaintop moments in scriptures are not about escape. They are about clarity. They show us who God is so that we can live differently when we go back down. And Peter, how many of us are like Peter? Peter wants to stay. "Lord, it is good for us to be here. Let me build 3 dwellings." He wants to protect that moment, and who wouldn't? But the cloud passes, and Moses and Elijah disappear, and the disciples walk down the mountain with Jesus. Because holy moments are not meant to be kept. They are meant to be carried. And that is why this gospel speaks so clearly to St. Andrew's this year. Because this year is our mountaintop year. We are celebrating 75 years of ministry this year. 75 years of worship and prayer. 75 years of baptisms and burials. 75 years of showing up for one another on our very worst days. Our legacy is not this building, and our legacy is not our budget. I heard a woo-hoo in there. That is good, because our legacy is the people. People whose lives have been shaped by the love of God within these walls and so far beyond them. And this year is not meant to trap us in nostalgia, even though we will be going down memory lane. It is meant to sharpen our vision. Because just like the disciples, we are given a holy pause, not so that we can stay on the mountain, but so that we can recognize more clearly who Jesus is and who he calls us to be. At St. Andrew's, we have named the calling very clearly. We are a community that worships together, lives generously, practices joyful inclusion, and embraces God's desire for justice in the world. So our 75th anniversary will be marked by 4 worship-centered, community-wide tent poles, Sundays that invite every one of us to participate and not just to observe. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start out on Palm Sunday. And on Palm Sunday, we will claim advocacy as a part of following Jesus. Jesus enters Jerusalem knowing exactly how empire works and who gets crushed by it. He refuses neutrality, and he chooses public love. And in this moment, I did say that I forgot it was Valentine's Day yesterday, and so I am going to mention this. And Kathy, can you stand up and show us what public love looks like? This is public love. So on this day, we're still going to worship, and we're going to be here, and we're going to process outside together. But before the service, if you want to come early or after the service, we'll have postcards so that you can write to your legislators. Whatever is on your heart, you can write your legislators, and St. Andrew's is going to send all of those postcards in. And then that day, we are going to walk with our ecumenical neighbors with Christians from all around Iowa who are coming to the Iowa State Capitol for the Palm Sunday Path. Not because we are trying to be political, but because discipleship has consequences. And on Pentecost, we are going to celebrate joyful inclusion because the Spirit does not erase difference. She speaks through it. Language, cultures, bodies, food, stories, lives. Pentecost teaches the church that belonging does not require sameness. We will celebrate with prayer, fire, laughter, stories, and yes, we will have a birthday cake for the church. We need visible, joyful declarations that this church is truly for everyone. Because inclusion is not simply about hospitality, it's about theology. In September, we love September, we're going to celebrate generosity through our shared life with Trinity Kush Episcopal Church and the Darfur Community of Iowa. These are two South Sudanese congregations that we live in community with. We don't worship the same, we don't speak the same languages, and we do not share the same histories. And yet, we belong to one another. And that is what real community looks like. Generosity is not only about what we give, though. It's about how we stay, how we listen, how we learn, how we remain at the table when difference would be easier to avoid. And then in November, the bishop is coming on November 8th, and this is your formal announcement. We will gather again around the truth that holds everything together. The church is the people, sealed in baptism, sent into the world, and still being formed by the Spirit. Friends, these 4 Sundays are not just celebrations, they're invitations. They are invitations to get out of the pews and into the life of the church, to show up, to bring your friends or your kids, to walk with us, to pray with us, to write, to sing, to eat, to listen, to laugh, to learn, and to love. Not because we need more volunteers, although some of us do feel that. No, it's because your presence matters. Your voice matters. Your baptism matters. This is your church. And here is the truth that the mountain teaches us. We do not follow Jesus by staying comfortable. We follow Jesus by moving. The voice from the cloud does not say, look at him. It says, listen to him. And Jesus is still calling St. Andrews right now off the sidelines and into the work of love, welcome, generosity, and justice. And when the disciples hear the voice, they fall to the ground in fear. And Jesus comes and he touches them. And he says what the church still needs to hear every time God's future feels a little bigger than our courage. Get up. Do not be afraid. These are the words for St. Andrews in our 75th year. Get up. Get up from remembering only what was, and get up into what God is doing now. Get up and come down from the mountain with Jesus. This is our mountaintop year, but the real glory of it will not be what we celebrate. The real glory will be who we become together for the sake of the world that God so loves. Amen.